Warning, this episode contains strong language or mature themes. Parental discretion is advised.
I always like to listen to music.
So do I.
I brought my tapes. I'll just accept it in. And now we push this button.
Welcome to This Podcast Is Uncalled For.
What's uncalled for about it?
What we doing in Tijuana?
You met a girl, didn't you? I was like, oh, how did you know? He was like, oh, because it always happens. It always happens. It's the only stupid reason that you would ever drop the ROTC. Because of a stupid girl.
And then look, thank you, back home.
Oh, that's going to be great for the football charts.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I can think of 100 right off the top of my head.
Is paid a genre?
So it's just a lot happens behind the scene that people don't know about. Like it's hard for the average voter to understand how much of what they think is their democracy is decided by faceless people to them. You know, you and I know who's making these decisions.
There you go. These are the kind of discussions we have. Fortunately, we're both fairly level-headed people. Again, we're looking at each other in the eye. We're not going to say anything derogatory to the other person. And, of course, neither of us is drunk.
Take me to Gay's barbecue.
That's a bit of a slap in the face and insults.
But you didn't even give him a chance for a wild card spot.
And the look on Mike's face.
They love big boys like you.
It's kind of like, what is that character from Guardians of the Galaxy who takes everything literally? The people are out there, like they could have taken it literally.
Yeah, we're crazy people and we love what we do, and so we just keep creating regardless of how hard it can be sometimes.
Thank you, and thank you for having me on your podcast.
Oh, absolutely.
And remember, no you.
That is uncalled for, Michael.
And now, your host for this podcast, Mike Chernevsky.
I have a lot more on this tape. Here. Listen to this.
Well, the name of this podcast is Stuff Uncalled For?
This podcast is uncalled for.
Podcast, all right. Well,
And all y'all, subscribe and like and comment and subscribe.
Yeah.
I said it.
Fuji!
Okay, let's go ahead and get started. All right. So tonight's lesson is going to be on chess notation, a very important skill, particularly if you're playing in USCF and FIDE rated tournaments, but still good to know if you're just playing casually and want to look at your game later on. Ken likes to use baseball as an analogy for chess, saying that the best players will lose a lot and win a lot. And uses baseball as an analogy. The best teams are going to lose 60 games. The worst teams are going to win 60 games.
So, Mike. Is that 6 or 6:30?
It's 6.
I'm so sorry. I thought I was early for 6:30.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I just started the lesson anyway a minute ago. So chess notation, think of it as filling out a scorecard in baseball. Because a lot of people like to fill scorecards out just for the heck of it. You know? Kind of the same idea. You know? Record your game and then you can look at it later. In fact, you may notice if you're playing on chess.com, they take the notation for you. So, how do we do notation? Well, we'll go through this worksheet and go from there. So First thing it's pointed out is the symbols we use for the different pieces in notation. So K is your king, and Q is your queen, R is your rook, B, capital B, bishop, and N is your knight. This one tends to trip a lot of kids up because they're like, oh, doesn't knight start with a K? Well, yes, but A, K is already taken up by the king, and B, do we even pronounce the K in the word knight? And pawns, again, nothing like it. And they are too insignificant to be bothered with a letter. So that's part one of what we absolutely need to know about notation. Part two is where are those pieces going to go? Which brings us to the board itself. So each square on the chessboard has an address, which is file first, so lowercase a, lowercase b, all the way to h, and then rank second, so 1, 2, all the way to 8. So that means this square is A1, A2, A3, A4, and so on up to A8, and then B1, B2, and so forth, all the way to H8. All right. In short algebraic notation, the formats, whoever wrote this, oh my god, for recording moves is, P symbol, then target square. For pawn moves, the symbol is just left off, so instead of P, G3, we'd just say G3, and G3 would look something like this. Right? And it gives an example of a move. Let's see what it look like. So we go E4, knight C6. So that example looks exactly like this on the board. All right. Some other special things to note. Of course, captures. We put an X in between the piece and the square. Of course, with pawns, it'll be a little different. So, to this example, I will say it's White's turn. He's going to go EX D5. Then we got Black go QX D5. Again, X indicating that a piece has been captured. If a pawn were to get promoted, we would use an equals sign. So let's say I do this H8 equals whatever piece I'm promoting to, which, just a reminder, pawns can promote to knights, bishops, rooks, or queens. 99% of the time, it's probably going to be a queen. All right. So there's that. Castling. Castling has its own notations. Made this look somewhat realistic. Kingside. O-O for kingside.
So they are O's, not zeros.
Yeah, 2 O's for kingside. For queenside, 3 O's. All right. So kingside 2, queenside 3. So O-O, kingside O-O-O is queenside. All right. Annotations. The only two I would worry about in the annotations portion of this sheet are check and checkmate. So let's put a king right here. So in this example, Q D5 plus sign for check. All right. Now let's say this is let's do a checkmate situation here. So let's put rook right there. Let's move a queen here.
Jason, this is the way. Jason,
all right.
I'm sorry, have you started already?
Yeah, we've started. All right. So this will be Q G5 checkmate. So plus plus, or you could use the hashtag or pound sign or number sign, the tic-tac-toe thing can also be used for that. Now, sometimes more information is needed for ambiguous references. A good example of this is if I'm ever playing whites, I play what's called the Colle system, C-O-L-L-E. It goes something like this. So we go D4, knight to F3, then we go E3, bishop, D3. Here's our O-O, kingside castle. Yeah. Rook to E1. There we go. C3. Now here's exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm going to move a knight here. Both knights can move to D2. Because I want to move this knight over here, it's going to be knight B to D2. So if you're ever in an ambiguous situation like that, you're supposed to give the rank of the piece that's being moved to the new square. All right. Then we finish off with E4. All right. And it gives a notation exercise that we're going to go over. All right. So we'll go over this, and then I'll show you a Grandmaster example of what we're talking about. And the Grandmaster example will also illustrate something that can constantly, once the kids to be working on again, the knights out, getting the bishops out, and castling. All right. So with this example, we go E4, B6, D4, bishop to B7. Then we do bishop to D3. Then we go F5. So this would be EX F5. So I'm going to write an E there, which clearly is optional, but I would still put the E in. Bishop captures G2, therefore preventing a castle. Queen H5, check. Does anyone see the pattern here for fool's mates? So ABC is a check. Can he avoid? No, he's surrounded by other pieces. He can't. Well, actually, he can't block. You can go G6 for the block. Then this says X G6. Let's put F X G6. And that indicate that it is, in fact, the pawn that's doing the capture. Knight f6. Okay. H7 check. That is a. Let's fix that notation. So it's a GX H7 discovered check. I don't see how Knight H5 works at all. But
Knight F6 was played on the 6th move.
Oh, it was, yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So now we do G5. Now we do Knight captures H5. How did I miss that? Okay. So thank you for that. And then B2. Okay, I'm messing up. All of
Bishop
G6 and so
that's it.
That's it. That is checkmate. Let's go over RBCs again. Can't really avoid. Nothing to block with. And too far away and not in a good position for me to capture. So this is indeed checkmate. So, and that took 8 moves to do. I will show you another example. This one better illustrates our knights out, bishops out castle. And it comes from an actual game with 2 grandmasters, and not just grandmasters, past world chess champions. In this particular game, white is Magnus Carlsen, black is Garry Kasparov. So I'm just going to show you the first 10 moves of this one. It goes 52 moves and ends in a draw. But I'm only interested in the top first 10. So it goes D4, D5, C4, pause. That opening is
Queen's Gambit.
The Queen's Gambit. Now we go C6. Knight to F3, knight to F6, knight to C3, E6. Nice pawn structure going on there. Bishop to G5, knight B to D7. There's it. There it is again. The 2 knights can go to the same square. So then we go E3, Queen A5. So not a good example of what to do with queens early game, but then we go knight to D2. Then we go bishop B4. Queen C2, 0-0. Bishop to E2, then we go E5, another 0-0, and EX D4. So that is the first 10 moves of this particular game. So white has both his knights out, he has both his bishops out, and he's castled. Black has both of his knights out, and he only has 1 bishop out, but he's castled. All right. So they both got active pieces out, and they've both protected their kings. In fact, I'm going to further quote Kasparov here and said that king safety is paramount in chess. So I would also add with queens, we want way too many kids want to take them out early, but it's much more prudent to hold them back for later in the game when they'll be a lot more useful. And I feel it also shows a level of respect to your opponents to not take it out early. Does anybody have any questions about notation? Go for it.
Would two rooks on the same rank or file be another example of ambiguity in note-taking when you're moving them?
It could.
Yeah, like a rook on A1 and a rook on A3. If there was no pawn between them, and you moved a rook to A2, you'd have to first.
Yeah, you could do. Yeah, I've seen this on Chess.com too. You could do like rook 1 to A2.
And pretty much anytime you promote a pawn, you're going to create another piece. There may be another piece on the board of it already, like for instance promoting to the queen, and there may be another. So you have to make sure you indicate which queen is moving right. That's another ambiguity thing. And then I've heard it both ways. When a pawn is taken on passant, to write EP next to it or to not. Would you?
I never really thought about that one, but yeah, that's a good one. If you want to do it that way, you can.
Just make sure that when they're writing takes, the square that they write is taken is where the pawn ends up, and not where the pawn went to. Right.
Exactly. All right. Any other questions?
What's the next?
In the game, we can look at that. We can,
I have the notation right in front of me.
E3.
Knight B3.
G4. Huh?
Knight B3, which is countered by Queen B6.
Gotta move the queen.
All right. Okay. So, if there are no other questions, what I want you guys to do today, go ahead and pair off, and I want you to notate your game. All right. So if you took notes with the sheet you already had, go ahead and get a fresh sheet. We got plenty of these. And you already did what I told you to do. And go ahead and pair off. Coach Jason, if you want to play on right there. Notate your games.
This podcast is Uncalled For is hosted, produced and edited by Mike Chernevsky. Opening music is I Thought You Were Cool by Holy Isna CC0, licensed under a Creative Commons 0.1.0 Universal License. The outro music for this episode is Mechanical Turk by Karpov Not Kasparov, licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share Alike 3.0 International License. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast through your favorite podcasting platform. Like our Facebook page at facebook.com/uncalledforpodcast, and check out our blog with show notes at uncalledfor.home.blog. If you are in the United States or Canada, you can call us at 816-832-5160. Leave your message or question for us, and if we like it, we will play it on the podcast. Please support the podcast and purchase our exclusive Uncalled For merchandise. T-shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, stickers, and so much more. Go to www.cafepress.com/uncalledforpod. Thank you so much for listening. We will see you next time.